World War II. The global war lasting from 1939 to 1945, which involved all the great powers and their entire economic, industrial, and scientific capabilities. It resulted in the deadliest conflict in human history. To better understand the United States Navy's involvement in the War of the Pacific, we traveled to the home of Commander William Ambrosio, a retired United States naval aviator who experienced combat against the Japanese Empire firsthand.
Do I get paid by the hour?
Ambrosio, a light-hearted and sarcastic man, was involved in over 160 successful missions taking place in the Guadalcanal campaigns, Marshall Islands campaigns, and the Palau Island campaigns.
And I came back and I was a hero. You don't believe me, you just ask my mother.
But don't let his nonchalant and modest attitude fool you. His heroism and sacrifice does truly set him apart from the rest as a hero of World War II.
I didn't do anything special in particular. I just did what you had to do. They'd tell me, point me, and then I'd go out and do what I had to do.
Ambrosio's flying career began at 19 when he signed up for the flying program at Long Beach Municipal Airport.
Well, I could see the war coming, so I wanted to get in there and get a good start, you know, because of the other war, the war came and everybody just went in, and I wanted to be trained a little bit. They landed at an airport, kind of a lonely place, I don't remember where, and they have a signal office there, and you learn how to do it, all the signals. You give it a cut, and you land on the runway. You just pulled a little lever and the gear came up, nothing. If it was very fancy, I couldn't do it.
Following the Pearl Harbor attack, now a commissioned officer and naval aviator, Ambrosio was among the first to be assigned to newly formed fighting squadrons.
Excited to be part of a squadron?
Yes, yeah. I was the main part.
He was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, where they trained as they waited for the escort carrier, the USS Sewanee, that would be taking them into the North African campaign. The invasion of North Africa, codenamed Operation Torch, proposed to improve the naval control of the Mediterranean Sea by attacking and clearing the Axis powers, specifically at Casablanca.
I was just doing the patrolling to make sure nobody come in and attacked our landing forces and stuff, so I was flying over that and make sure no bad guys came in.
Was there much opposition in terms of enemies?
As I remember, no, they had the VC French. They were on kind of like on the German side, but they were no opposition as far as we were concerned because we had better equipment.
We asked about the mix of emotions that anyone would feel when going into a situation like this as a first-timer to fighting opposition.
I just figured I have to do something, you may as well go do it. It's kind of pretty good attitude, I think. No, I was never really scared, I don't think.
With the excitement over and the successful completion of the North African campaign, Ambrosio was sent back on a long boat ride home to the States to await his next orders.
When we weren't flying or we weren't in the combat zone, just flying around, I'd go down to the metalsmith shops and watch what they were making. Go down to the galley and steal some food.
After a short stint back on home soil, relaxing time was over and preparations began for the first major offensive by the Allied forces. Ambrosio and his squadron were sent through the Panama Canal towards the Battle of Guadalcanal, codenamed Operation Watchtower.
Yeah, we were land-based there. They put the whole squadron ashore, and then we did raids up the channel, up to Munda and all the little islands, and so we'd go raid them. Or we'd escort the bombers up there, and they'd drop bombs on the bad guys. The bad guys came up, we have to shoot them down, that's all.
Stationed now on the freshly conquered airstrip, the Japanese would sail down at night and shell from their ships. Defense was minimal because flying at night was dangerous.
Jesus. We weren't much good at night. Well, because you can't shoot something down you can't see.
During the day, however, when the squadrons were sent up, it was not unusual for the pilots to be outnumbered by the enemy by 3 or 4 to 1.
We did a pretty good job protecting the bombers and everything. Because when the Japs were up here, we see one coming, we just go like this and head at him, and they didn't like that, they'd pull away. They didn't want to get shot down. Well, we always did this weaving, so if the guy was over here and I was here, I'd go over there, and this guy'd come like this, because we were patrolling with the bombers below, keep them off.
After the completion of the Guadalcanal campaigns by the Allied forces, the Japanese had reached their limit of their conquest in the Pacific. Ambrosio's tour was not complete, however. After Guadalcanal, the Allied forces turned their attention onto New Guinea for what was known to be the Rabaul raids.
The enemy had Rabaul at that time, and we flew over there and shoot down whatever we caught them on the runways, strafe the runways, strafe the buildings.
Rabaul was the main Japanese naval base during the New Guinea campaign, and the main inlet Simpson Harbor was the target. This raid was not going to be easy, however, because a Japanese cruiser force was stationed there in the harbor. Not to mention 367 anti-aircraft guns, and the 5 surrounding enemy airfields also defended the harbor itself. Ambrosio in preparation was upgraded from the F-4F plane to the F-6F Hellcat, a faster and more powerful fighter.
I always flew number 9, as I remember, number 9 plane. The first airplane was the F-4F. It was a lot smaller. And then they came out with the F-6F, which was faster and bigger, carried three machine guns on both wings. You fired them all at once and you could feel it because there was so much negative.
Push you back?
Push you back, yeah. I would lead 4 planes. I'd have a wingman, then 7, 6, another guy behind. We flew so loose that I could fly anywhere, and they'd follow me. We weren't in formation like this where I'd crack into it. We were always just a little bit behind me, and I'd turn, and he'd cut inside.
So how are the Zeros compared to your planes?
Well, they were just more maneuverable. You hit them and they were through, but our planes, you could hit them, and they had self-sealing tanks and stuff, so we were better protected overall. They were more maneuverable and stuff, but we'd get them. Can't let the bad guys go away.
Despite the Japanese early warning system, Bill was the first wave of attackers on the harbor and took off from the USS Bunker Hill, where to much surprise, he met little resistance. As the squadron gained altitude and reformed after the smoke had cleared, he said, "It was like they kicked the hornet's nest," as the Japanese fighters came up in thick swarms. Ambrosio's squadron protected the bombers on either side as they returned to the carriers. They in total shot down 5 enemy planes, 2 of which were by Ambrosio himself, with another unconfirmed. In the aftermath of the Rabaul raids, Ambrosio found success in the Marshall Island campaigns as well as in the Philippines. At Kwajalein during a flight where he was strafing island defenses, Ambrosio destroyed 1 enemy plane. At Saipan, Ambrosio leads a rendezvous flight, where he is credited with sinking a small Japanese escort destroyer. He told us, "One minute it was there, and the next it was 2 halves sinking into the ocean."
You know, with 50 calibers, you really can't shoot anything up too much. So I either, hit the gas tanks or something, and it blew up.
Are you excited? Did you get a medal?
They give you 1 attaboy. No, that was your job, so that's what you did.
After an extensive series of campaigns and battles all across the Pacific, both atomic bombs being dropped, and Russia declaring war against the Empire of Japan, they surrendered at noon on August 15th. With the war over, Ambrosio continued to fly for the Navy for a total of 27 years before he hung up his gold wings.
I didn't do anything special in particular. I just did what you had to do.
Some sources have him with up to 8 kills, but the official naval records only give him credit for 3.5. To him, the numbers don't matter. He is a hero of World War II that has a balance of lives saved, protected, and lost on his shoulders.